And when you speak of community, because I've noticed recently, now again, I know you're in Houston, and I've had a chance to visit Houston in the humidity forever, right? Um, Give it to me briefly. Where does You just did a video, you were in the third ward, fifth ward. I played ball with so many guys from Jack Yates, right, which is seventh ward or wherever. Where does that come from? And is there an explanation to these wards? And I know every community is probably uniquely different, but I'm sitting here going, talk to me. I don't even, I mean, I know Jack Yates. That's all I know about Houston because I played with so many guys from that school. So are the communities all different? And maybe you're frozen there. Um, Talk to me. Tell me, what is all that about?
So I grew up in Third Ward.
Okay.
It's home. It's where I live. And the
Okay.
way this started is actually because I was running numbers on the business, and I realized that depending on the year, almost 40 to 60% of our business were relocations. People were moving to Houston. They heard about Sunday Fun Day. We were a good turn up, and say they were like, "Bet we want to live here." And so one of the questions I always ask people, I mean, this was turning out when I would go out with people, most of the people I meet were not from Houston. So the first question I ask is, where did you move to? And they usually say something super far, like the Woodlands. No shade to the Woodlands. However, if you're a young adult or you're, young family growing, it's just not. The Woodlands and Houston are two different areas. And so I said, well, how did you choose that place? And they said, well, we heard Third Ward was dangerous. We heard these areas were dangerous. And I was thinking to myself, what are you talking about? Like, this is the epicenter. This is home. This is where, if you're looking at lifestyle and real estate and investing, this is inner city Houston, Harris County. And what I learned was everybody around the country was giving us a narrative that was not true. And so if I wanted to change that, I had to tell our own story. And so what I started doing was I just started recording when I go out. I'm big on social media. And what's ironic is when I stopped creating content and just started telling my story, I got more engagement, I got more views. Facebook started sending me $5. I was like, hey. And that's where I realized the secret lies. It's not about doing anything outside of creating a space so that way other people see themselves in it or want to learn more.
And I'm so glad you brought that up or I brought it up because for clarity, because what I know is, you know, people will talk about how dangerous third ward, seventh ward, fifth ward is. And I'm sitting there going, everybody I know from those communities are just like me. Mom and dad at the house, hardworking, loving families. And I'm sitting here going, how in the world can the narrative be so negative when those communities are so positive? They're supportive, they're loving, all of that. And you and I, because again, we're family, and I'll call it like it is and step on a couple of toes. Typically, it's because those communities look like me, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's why they're negative. And I'm sitting here going, I don't know what it's like to be raised by Big Mama because my parents were married for 59 years and together, right? Supportive, loving, just like the majority.
Mm-hmm.
So keep telling that story because again, I think we need to hear it, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We owe it to ourselves to tell people our truths. And we know that, again, just with the development, the growth that's happening in Houston and Harris County, the angst that's coming from gentrification or revitalization, which I like to call it, because I do believe that we deserve to live in beautiful communities. But we also know that there are alternative agendas. And so if you can shape a community as, dangerous, and you can drive down home values, and you can deter people from moving in there, it makes room for developers and investors to buy on pennies of the dollar. And so, as stewards of our communities, in which as realtors we are, it's important that we advocate not just for home values, but in humanity and community. And that's what people are looking for.